Perhaps Showtime could produce a spin-off of its A Season with Navy Football documentary series. It could be called As the Quarterback's Turn. A daytime soap opera doesn't have as many twists and turns as the Navy quarterback situation, which changes weekly depending on the health and performance of the various participants. This week brings more drama and intrigue as Malcolm Perry is back in the mix, and the Navy starter for Friday morning's game against Houston will not be announced until shortly before kickoff. Zach Abbey seemed to solidify his hold on the starting job last Saturday with a solid performance in Navy's 2,417 loss to number 8 Notre Dame. The 6'2", 212-pound junior rushed for 87 yards and a 2-count while directing a methodical attack that maintained possession for almost 43 minutes. "I thought Zach played really well. I'm really proud of the way Zach played," Navy head coach Ken Niumatalolo said. "I thought he played a really good football game. He had one mistake. It's unfortunate because everybody that played had more mistakes than that, but nobody sees it. You see when the quarterback makes a mistake." Abbey tossed an interception when Navy was in Notre Dame territory early in the fourth quarter. The Archbishop Spalding product threw into double coverage and was picked off by the safety, providing help over the top on a wheel route by slot back Jamal Daniel. Sitting out the SMU game helped Abbey heal hip and shoulder injuries, and he admitted after the Notre Dame game that it was the best his body had felt in weeks. The Pasadena resident displayed the powerful, physical running style he displayed earlier in the season. See more videos. Perry did not play against Notre Dame due to a sprained ankle suffered during his spectacular performance against SMU. The sophomore sensation dressed but only ran in a straight line during warm-ups before being ruled out last Saturday. Perry participated in practice on Tuesday and was spotted working at both quarterback and slot back. Niumatalolo was encouraged by what he saw out of the 5'9", 185-pound speedster and was hopeful he'll be available in some capacity on Friday. "Malcolm is getting a lot of reps at both positions. I'm just encouraged because he looks healthy," Niumatalolo said. "Malcolm is actually healthier than I thought he would be. When he walked off the field after the SMU game, one didn't know if he was done for the season. So I'm super encouraged to see Malcolm running around today because he adds an element to our team that we don't have." Perry was the surprise starter against SMU and rushed for 282 yards and 4 2-counts. He had started at slot back in Navy's previous 8 games. Garrett Lewis made his first career start against Notre Dame and lasted just one possession, leading Navy into enemy territory before the offense turned the ball over on downs. Abbey took over on the team's second possession and went the rest of the way. "It became a quarterback run game, and that is more Zach's strong suit than Garrett's," said Niumatalolo, who also noted that Lewis made a few mistakes in terms of reading the defense and distributing the ball. "Garrett has got to be on point with knowing our offense, getting us into the right play, getting the ball to the right person. He had a couple snags that hurt us early on. In a game like that with such limited possessions, we couldn't afford that," Niumatalolo said. Lewis had come off the bench and performed well in 3 straight games, relieving Abbey and Perry after they sustained injuries. Niumatalolo told the Alabama native that he will get another chance at some point. "I just told Garrett to stay the course," Niumatalolo said. "Obviously, Garrett is disappointed because he worked hard to get to that point. If he wasn't disappointed, I'd be disappointed. He's a competitor and a good kid and just needs to stay the course." Speaking after practice on Tuesday, Niumatalolo made sure to point out that Lewis remains in contention for the starting spot and is also getting some repetitions with the first unit. Navy's official depth chart lists Abbey, Lewis and Perry even atop the depth chart. Zach's been getting a lot of the reps. Malcolm's been getting reps, too, and is looking well. Garrett has also gotten some reps, Niumatalolo said. "We'll probably wait until later in the week to see where it's at. I don't know if we're going to tell you. If I tell you, obviously Houston will know. The good thing is that they've all been able to practice." Dominant force Houston has one of the finest defenders in the entire Football Bowl subdivision in Ed Oliver, who was named a first-team All-American as a freshman in 2016. Oliver was also the American Athletic Conference Rookie of the Year after finishing second nationally with 23 tackles for loss. The 6'3", 290-pounder recorded 47 solo tackles, which was second in FBS among defensive linemen. There has been no sophomore slump for Oliver, who is a finalist for a pair of prestigious awards. The Outland Trophy is the country's top interior lineman, and the Nagurski Trophy that goes to the best overall defensive player in college football. Oliver has the ability to single-handedly disrupt Navy's triple option offense, either by gaining penetration or chasing ball carriers down from behind. The Houston native did a little of both in last season's matchup between the schools, totaling 12 tackles with 1.5 going for loss. He's a nose guard and he was all over the field, Niumatalolo said. Houston's base defense is at 34, but first-year defensive coordinator Mark D'Onofrio has used an even front against option opponents in the past. Niumatalolo said Navy will be sure to figure out where Oliver is lined up no matter what alignment the Cougars employ. Oliver is so good that wherever you put him he's dynamic. He can definitely cause disruption, Niumatalolo said. In film of Temple's defense earlier this season, Navy defensive coaches noted that Oliver got special treatment. Temple trapped the nose guard against Houston. We realized after film of other games that Oliver was the only nose guard they did that to, Niumatalolo said. That's how disruptive he is. Teams have to design stuff just for him. Houston used an odd front against Navy last season and Oliver covered the center. If that happens again this season it will mean that Parker Wade will have his hands. Wade played a couple series against Oliver a year ago in relief of starting center Maurice Morris. Mo actually did a really good job against Oliver at the point of attack. Most of his tackles happen downfield, Wade said. So when I get a block I need to stay on him as long as I can. If I let up a second short he can run off and make a play, Wade said. Unusual speed and athleticism for someone that size are what set Oliver apart. He's not like the 320-pound guys we usually face. He's about 290 and moves like a skill player. Basically, it's how quick and agile he is and how fast he gets off the ball, Wade said. It's definitely a big challenge and I'm looking forward to it. Probably the best nose guard we've faced all year. Injury report: inside linebacker Hudson Sullivan has resumed practicing and will be listed as questionable for Friday's game. Sullivan started 5 straight games to begin the season before suffering a foot injury against Air Force. Team doctors were worried it could be a season-ending injury, but Sullivan has rehabilitated well and is ahead of schedule. Sullivan is going to travel. He's doing more and more stuff every day. So super encouraged about his progress, Niumatalolo said. Win Howard has started the last 2 games at inside linebacker and totaled 8 tackles. The 6'2", 215-pound senior, who had almost exclusively played special teams over the course of his career, made a big interception during the SMU game. I've been really pleased with the way Win has played. He's done a very good job, Niumatalolo said. Starting place kicker Bennett Mooring has sat out the last 2 games with a leg injury, but should be able to handle field goals and extra points on Friday. Bennett kicked today and looked good, so that was encouraging, Niumatalolo said. Wide receiver Terrence Laster, a key blocker in Navy's tight formation, is going through the concussion protocol after absorbing a helmet-to-helmet hit against Notre Dame. Laster's head injury came after a Navy slot back was driven into him by a defender making a hard tackle. Twitter.com Wagner, Kapkes.